If you're wondering what you need to do in 2025, this is part 2 of the tarot reading that I did for the entire year of 2025. So definitely check it out. If you haven't watched the first part, click over here somewhere. And don't forget to grab the Antojai Quantum Reiki Tarot, which is sponsoring all of the work that we do here. You can grab it in the links in the descriptions below. Let's get into part 2. So now we go into May, okay? So May is starting off with some really interesting energies. The next third of the year of 2025, May, June, July, and August are all being controlled by the energy of thunder. Thunder and lightning, basically. So lightning is very fast, thunder is sound, there's light and sound being affected. Lightning is all about just going at it before it even strikes, right? So lightning will eventually turn into fire. This lightning will eventually turn into fire is basically what it's saying. And then as we see, like, the energy of fire is also associated to Mars. We see that we have the tower. The tower is usually burning as it's breaking down, okay? So then we also have the energy of I Ching number 17. I Ching number 17 is reminding us that we need to build community during this time. We need to focus on humanity. Very similar echo to the rune that was in the first 4 months that is now really anchored into the energies of April, okay? So that man rune, divine unity, manifestation, humanity, is being amplified by this I Ching number 17, which is reminding us deeply on how to interact with humanity and be happy with the things that we're doing. Now we also have the King Solomon's Pentacle, which is all about Mars 3, which is war and hostility. Now this one, you know, I've practiced a lot with the King Solomon's Pentacles, and what's actually quite crazy is that they actually do the things that they say they do. I've seen it in a bunch of different ways. So I've actually witnessed this one in real time bring hostility and fighting into different aspects of reality. So this may mean that we enter some sort of war globally, or we enter some sort of vibration where people feel like they have to fight for something deeply. This is still like not very clear as to what it is. We can dive into it in the coming months. But when these three elements are coming up together, there's going to be a war with how people are being led, and it has to be a war that's fought quickly so that there can be like the best result that happens during this period right here. So it's really important that you allow yourself to kind of keep your eyes peeled, not enter into any sense of fear or anything like that. That's not really what it's about. It's about being strategic and taking action with the things that are going on. We also see that May is the month of the yellow djinn. So the yellow djinn kind of reminding us very deeply about the solar plexus chakra, about our inner child, about our mind, about our thoughts, and the way that we look at ourselves and other people. So again, since we've seen that these other months kind of had like a warp tunnel, we can just safely assume that this is going to have the same effect. A little bit of the green djinn, a little bit of the orange djinn is going to be affecting May through the yellow djinn. This month is all about like really understanding how your inner child is being held back, where you can help your inner child, because time and space are not real. You didn't grow up from your inner child and your inner child got left in the past. Your inner child is waiting for you in a parallel reality that you have classified as the past, okay? It's really important that you understand that. Just like the future you is in a parallel reality that you have labeled the future, okay? If you don't understand that, you're gonna have a lot of difficulty kind of navigating the lucidity that's happening in 2025. And as I described, this is a different reading. Usually my readings are very, very, very to the point, very clear, tell you exactly what it is. Here is a lot of like, this is what's gonna happen. How do you want to play on the play field? That is like these rules that we're gonna be kind of like subscribing to. So then the first card that we have is the card of the Queen of Voids, Isfet. This is the energy of chaos, okay? Lots of dark energy, and this is directly confirming the third pentacle of Mars from King Solomon's work, kind of telling us that war in some way, shape, or form is going to manifest. Now, chaos naturally comes through that energy of Set. Set is the god of chaos, just like Isfet is the goddess of chaos. So in a way, by default, this is very much on alignment. More Egyptian energy is showing up, kind of just really confirming to us that we are living like an Egyptian echo. This is happening for a lot of people. This is not just like you watching it, but everyone. So in the past, there was some sort of echo that was just exactly like this. Whether people were living in ancient Egypt or surrounding countries and areas that were being impacted by what was happening in ancient Egypt. And we need to kind of pay attention to that. During the month of May, you're going to have a ton of flashbacks. Now, this is going to be a very deep month of soul energy. So you're going to have flashbacks to past lives. You're going to have flashbacks to alternate selves. You're going to be kind of like really understanding deep downloads from places that you don't know where they're coming from, but they are coming from the highest vibration possible for your assistance. Now, what's really interesting with this energy right here is it's also telling you that you can use this crazy chaotic energy to your advantage. But how? If you have a specific talent that you want, let's say that you are a public speaker, right? If you tune into the past lives where you were a public speaker, then those powers will naturally surface for you more quickly than if you were just trying to do it from your current perspective. Now, why? Because the fact that you want to be a public speaker, a teacher, an influencer, whatever, it's an echo of something that you've done in the past and that you've really enjoyed. All right. So, like, in a way, if you allow yourself to be like, okay, there's a version of me that already truly fundamentally understands this, I'm going to allow myself to connect to that individual and pull out whatever details I need to pull out to be happy, then you will be in alignment with the vibration of pleasure. Very interesting how the previous Jinn, the orange Jinn, was all about pleasure. And then that pleasure energy carries into the yellow Jinn, which is in May. So this energy of the Six of Cups, we also saw that energy as well in these first coming 2 months, kind of reminding us to create boundaries. So if you did create the boundaries, pleasure is guaranteed to you. If you didn't create the boundaries, then you already know what's going to happen. You know, it's going to be that echo. The boundaries that and the pleasures that summon themselves in May are directly correlated to the negative spirits that you stop manifesting in your heart chakra in February, and the divine connected unity that you present yourself and humanity with in April. Okay, so these are two really powerful lessons that you have to really understand if you want your May to be really in flow. Now, we also have this energy of water coming out again because that is also tied to the waters of life in a lot of different aspects. So in a way, this month is a little bit echoing the end of 2024. So you're going to start having like flashbacks, representations, understandings of things that happened towards the end of 2024 that you probably could have done differently, that you missed cognizantly, right, or cognitively. And then you can kind of just meditate so that you don't repeat that pattern again coming forward. But you really need to understand that the month of May is a really fast, swift month. Like, things are going to be happening really fast. From the chaos to the potential war, coming back to this energy, right? Swiftness is associated to lightning, okay? Things are just going to be happening fast. And this is a very good confirmation that as soon as we enter that, lightning takes over and it's going to propel us forward. Now, that could be a reason why there's so much hostility, because people may not be ready to take on like a quick transformative shift with that lightning energy. So you know how someone wakes you up early in the morning and you're just still not ready to have a conversation. So if someone starts talking to you, you kind of like snap, right? Because they're trying to start the day a little bit too fast. This is the same thing that's going to happen. People who are sleeping are going to get a very sudden, like, we got to wake up. We got 5 minutes before we get there. Like, hurry up. Throw your clothes on. We got to move. Ah! Right? And then they're going to wake up really cranky, really annoyed. They're going to start taking it out on anybody else who's already working at that lightning frequency. So there's two different speeds that are very much so dominant. This is also kind of like a very like dualistic year that's happening, because there are people who are vibrating really fast, getting the things that they want, and then there are the people who are vibrating really slow, who are watching everybody else who's vibrating fast get what they want and feeling a potential envy. Okay, remember that this whole entire year is really susceptible to the energies of a pep, and it's really susceptible to the energies of Leviathan. So envy and essentially hate or malice, that will be coming up. So you really have to pay attention, because Mars does create envy, and then envy eventually does turn into malice if it grows too much. The most important thing is that we have to really focus on working on ourselves and staying diligent. Here are two eights. There's the 8 of Wands, and then we have the 8 of Coins, kind of telling us again with that energy of 8 that we read before, very much so May is going to be really attuned to the energies of time, transcending time, manipulating time, and working with the energies of time itself. This is going to be a really deep time for you to work on your 8th chakra, your halo chakra, kind of defying time, space, infinity, questioning those things, asking those divine spirits to help you understand who you truly are, where you're going, and what is going on in your reality. So lots of 8 energies here, kind of just really confirming that that time element is going to be more heavy during May than anywhere else. We also have the energy of the King of Swords upside down. Now this means like you should not get into any fights during May. Doesn't matter if it's a fight at home, it's a fight on social media, whatever. Do not get in a fight, because that is going to spring in more tension that you don't want to deal with. Especially remember, because this is being ruled by chaos. So a small altercation can turn into something that you did not expect happening, okay? So guard your words, guard your energy, guard your intentions, and definitely keep your actions in check. Because if you don't, it's going to definitely blow up in your face, and it may turn out to be positive. Chaos isn't always negative. Maybe you do get into an altercation with someone and it does turn into something amazingly positive for you, or you get into an altercation with someone and it completely destroys you. So it's up to you on whether or not you want to take that gamble. Again, the universe is saying we're playing a game, chess or whatever. Are you going to put this gamble in, or are you going to pass, right? So it's a really good time for you to also understand why you do feel like fighting with people. Like, people are going to be already on edge because of that Mars energy controlling the entire year. But then you also have to recognize, why are you being pressed to do something negative or to react in a aggressive fashion towards someone else, right? It's really important that you kind of just like sit down and have like this internal registry. Is it worth it for me? And where are these actual feelings coming from? Now, this is very interesting because it is almost echoing again the major message that was here when both devils came through, where the devil is basically saying, like, look at yourself. You're the one that's in your own way. You preserve certain negative aspects of yourself that make you feel pleasure and make you feel powerful. So, like, in a way, sure, if you're going to keep those, if you're not going to keep those, you need to understand why they make you react and do things, right? So really be attentive. Instead of actually getting into a fight with someone, just stop, pause, make an internal registry, and ask, where is this trigger coming from? Now, if you're able to do that, you're going to have the energy of the master of the shattering palm, which is basically saying, like, do you think you could basically go against me is the energy, right? Like someone who's coming at you, and then you feel so confident, self-mastered in your reality. You know that you're working in tandem with the cosmos. And then when the person comes to fight you, you have that energy of the shattering palm, where you have this confidence that if you come at me, you will lose. You will be taken down. Kind of like a master martial artist, as we can see on the card itself. He's not afraid to get in a fight with you. He's going to tell you, do you really want to get in this fight, right? And then the most powerful thing, because this is also like a very interesting dualistic card, where the King of Swords tells us not to get into fights, the Shattering Palm tells us, because you choose not to get in a fight, you actually have more movement or retaliation energy. So if someone tries to get in a fight with you and you choose to like navigate that smoothly, you're going to notice that the person who tried to get into an altercation with you automatically lost. And even if you don't do anything, you're going to notice that that person's reality starts collapsing, because Mars chose you in its favor. Mars chooses the strongest warrior to support. It does not choose the who actually has the most aggression, or who has the most violence, or who has the most like negative energy. It supports the winner who is the most strategic. Okay, so this is where, if you want the energy of Mars to be a spirit guide during this time, It's all about self-mastery. It's all about becoming a masterful warrior and not letting anyone be able to get into your way. Then we have the energy of the lovers. The lovers is carried from the energy of April into the energy of May. This is again telling us, what are we married to? What do we have a relationship with? Why do we have a relationship with this thing? Is this a relationship that we want to keep entertaining, feeding, embodying, and carrying forward into the future? This is a very powerful moment for you to recognize and just see how things elevate and move around you. I tend to be the type of person that when I read these types of messages on that month, I kind of just am a conscious observer. I take action where I need to, but I let the rest of the story kind of manifest itself so I can see what I otherwise would be missing, right? So I let the friends that are toxic show up and show me their toxicity. I let the friends that are really good come closer to me and build some things with me, right? So it's really important that you be really attentive and not really trying to take too much action other than where you need to be showing up. Then we have the energy of temperance, which is the energy of being calm, being patient, and watching things unfold, which is interesting because I didn't see that card in my hand until until I just pulled it right now and started reading about it. But verbatim, it is saying exactly what I said. Let things just happen, watch, and then take action, right? Just like I explained that I do with like my friends and stuff like that. So this is a really interesting energy here because it is reminding us a lot of self-mastery, self-curation, inner child mastery, bending time and space from different angles. And then the whole month, like these first 5 months coming out even, are still reminding us of euthanizing and bringing to death things that no longer are in alignment with us because they need to go. And then to this energy right here that falls with Baset, especially with the third, the yellow Jinn, this is a lot of inner child energy that we want to be like looking at and mastering, right? This is a lot of inner child energy that could be a very beneficial like focal point for us to create more things. Remember, doesn't matter what month you are in 2025, your main thing to avoid is stagnation and failure. That doesn't mean that you don't take action so that you don't end up, encountering failure, because if you do act, you might win, you might lose. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about don't be stagnant in where you know you must take action, and don't have failure in aspects that you could have otherwise won. All right, so it's again strategic. It's very chess like. You don't make a move unless you know that that move is going to benefit you, right? And if you know that you have moves that are going to lead you towards failure, you need to modify those moves so that they get you towards wins. If you are in a state where there's a lot of stagnation in a bunch of areas of your reality, anything that's stagnant needs to be moved. And with the energy that's showing up on this card of the Seven of Pentacles that looks over the entire year, the universe is going to allow you to see the cosmic focus. It's going to allow you to see exactly what needs to be shifted so that you can attain what you're looking for. It's just whether or not you're going to work with the cosmos to make your life easier, or you're going to work against the cosmos using your ego as the catalyst for destructive change. All right, so let's go ahead into June right here. So it's not a June month, which is kind of advantageous. The June months you're going to notice are a little bit tiresome because there's so much going on and there's an extra consciousness interacting with you. But this is a really good time to kind of just like have those off months to kind of recharge and to see yourself from where you're really at. Now, June is really coming up with this energy of wealth and a lot of human transformation that's going on. So you're going to start realizing that your economy, your finances changes, especially if you're in alignment. Remember, this is all about whether or not you're in alignment or you're not in alignment. If you are in alignment, wealth is guaranteed. Now, wealth is more than just money. Wealth can also be like opportunity. It can be good connections. It could be thinking outside of the box, right? Wealth comes from a bunch of different aspects depending on what it is that you're creating. For some of you, you're going to need money. So wealth will show up as money. For others, you don't need that. You just need creative inspiration. So you have a flood of ideas coming in so you can really attain the next level of your reality. So good thing is, like if you've been doing like profound human transformation, which echoes back to that energy of the rune for humanity itself, you're going to be in alignment. So now you're going to be seeing like there's everything you do at the beginning of the year is going to be affecting the other months that are to come, and everything you do on the future months are affecting the past, like I reiterated in our last month reading. So it's really important that you keep this thought process in mind if you want to reap the rewards. But also remember, because we do have this pentacle of Solomon, the third pentacle of Mars, there is going to be war to some degree. So that money might be available for you, but you're not going to get it without a little bit of a fight. That money might be there, but you might also find yourself in some sort of like lack of acceptance, right? Like you're the one that's not allowing yourself to fully accept whatever's going on in your reality fully. Now, you need to understand that there's going to be a lot of strife and injustice as we dive deeper into the month of June. Now, this is going to be mostly towards the world. The world is going to be having, economic changes. There's going to be a lot of new policies going on. There's going to be a lot of different switches in the way that we do things because the currencies are turning to digital. So a lot of injustice is going to happen to anyone who hasn't started already migrating their economy settings into like Bitcoin and digital assets and stuff like that. You need to diversify. At this point, if you do want to become more wealthy, more abundant, more successful, you need to start thinking like those who are already accomplishing these types of goals. Become more financially literate before we enter into June, but also start making the moves. It's not about just studying how you're going to become rich, but you actually have to play the game of being rich. It's a game, quite literally. And I can tell you that from experience. When you play the game and you go all in and you trust your instincts, you will then start making a large amount of money in a short amount of time without having to worry about too much. But it really just depends on how you're going to claim your power and your reality, and you're going to take form into that. Now, it's interesting because these three cards are basically saying like there's a lot of good happening, but then at the same time there's a ton of bad that's going on. So there are going to be, again, people who are polarized. This year is very polarizing. It shows you whether or not you are actually doing the work that you say that you're doing. And this month, by June, you're going to see a lot of healers, a lot of spiritual people that do a lot of their work. It's going to show you truly who they are. So like keep an eye out, especially for like me. I'll even tell you, like, if you see that I'm struggling throughout 2025, it's because I don't have my shit together. And I will tell you, you should probably go like align yourself with someone who actually is living this dharma. I'm confident in myself that I know by June I'm going to be fine, but this is the thing I'm going to be looking out for, and I want you to look out for, and I'm not exempt to that, okay? Because I think it's really important for you to be able to spot truly adept spiritual people. The truly adept are going to be seeming like this is the best year of their life. They're going to be also be seeming like the cosmos favors them and wants to be in their essence and wants to keep giving them gifts and stuff like that, because they did not only the internal work during the first 4 months, 5 months of 2025, but they also did the work in 2024 that is aligning them with what seems to be divine grace and divine benevolence, right? So this is a really, really interesting time right now, because in June, you're going to see who lives by what they preach and who's just literally doing it for the cash. Quite simple, quite easy, really understanding. Now, right now, you might be noticing that your finances are taking a shift. Rather, you're making a lot of money out of nowhere, or you're kind of in this stagnant state. By June, that energy is going to be obviously very shifted depending on the actions that you do. But you need to understand that even in December right now, as you're looking at this, you are simultaneously in June, okay? Remember how like warp holes happen? There's a pseudo warp hole. So there's different levels of warp holes. There's like the major ones with the jinns, and then there's a few couple ones that echo subtly. So your current December of 2024 is actually superimposed or overlaid into June 2025. And if you can keep that in the forefront of your mind during all of this month right now of December 2024, it's almost as though you're going to be having flashbacks to this moment of reading this tarot and be like, man, I am so glad I took action. Be aware that you are in full control throughout the entire year. And in June, if you're still questioning why shit's happening to me and you're not in that creator seat of recognizing, hey, I understand what I'm doing, where I'm going, etc., you really need to look at yourself again, right? So then we have the Ace of Swords coming out, which the Ace of Swords is again kind of reminding us like there's going to be a war between the physical and the metaphysical, okay? And this is not going to be something that is always going to be super obvious. Like World War III already happened a long time ago. It started happening during the COVID crisis. That's when it actually started because World War III is a vibration against consciousness itself. It's not necessarily about the war. The war may manifest. It's really about controlling consciousness is what the Third World War is about. And it's a consciousness shift between people who are choosing to be more aligned and people who are choosing to give their power away to traditional systems like the government or other men or the material universe. So here, when we see the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords, it's telling us that the physical world is at battle with the metaphysical world because wands have to do with magic, right? And then when that is happening at the same time, we start seeing like a battle between spirituality and what people want to quickly and instantaneously manifest. So this may be like religious collapse. This could be, redefining what sciences are and how we're going to move forward, integrating the higher and the lower. And then since what's really interesting is at the beginning of January, right, like of 2025, we have the card of correspondence, which is as above, so below. And we're still starting to represent a lot of that energy in June with this counterbalance of the metaphysical and the physical, as above, so below as well. So we can even see like an echo starting in December of 2024 and an echo in 2025 January that echoes into 2025 June. So it really is about, are you fully aligned with your magic with the Ace of Wands? And are you actually going after the things that you say that you want with the Ace of Swords? Then we come back to this energy of the Ten of Pentacles. Another amazing echo because we started off with, I'm just going to cover these. We start off with the Ten of Pentacles, and then we have another echo of the Ten of Pentacles, another iteration of wealth. I'm telling you right now, if June is playing out and you are having financial difficulties, stop everything you're doing. Recognize what you didn't do in the first coming months. Realign yourself with what needs to actually be aligned, right? Do like an even, review these months independently. If you're in June and you're having a hard time, see what you missed and then adjust. You'll see massive transformations happen. But it really just depends because a lot of people are in this enslavement energy. And by the time June comes around, you're going to see like an uprising of sorts with people's consciousness and how they see the government and how they see themselves and how they define life. A lot of people are now starting to understand that true wealth is not about the amount of stuff you have. It's not even about the amount of things you do, but it's the way you feel in your own ecosystem. That is wealthy. Like some people need millions of dollars to feel safe. Some people just need a certain amount that's like 100 grand so that they know that they're always secure. It's a different vibration for each individual. It really just depends on how you perceive yourself, how you perceive your reality, and how you're creating it. But here, there's also that energy of the wrath of the prisoner. Like a lot of people in many countries all around the world have felt abused by the societal system that governs them, and they're gonna feel like this need to uprise. They're gonna feel this energy of like, I'm going to claim my own power because I can truly be free. And during June is a warlike energy, just like the rest of 2025 coming with that Mars energy, that war energy, where there's a lot of cataclysmic change. And a lot of this is going to be led by some of the shifts that are happening in America. So we're seeing a lot of like very intense energy, but also like in the midst of all that intensity, there's just all this good. So this is another echo of a lesson that I learned in 2020 during the pandemic. I chose not to subscribe to the world being chaos and that it was going to come get me and then it was unavoidable. I chose not to live that life. And a lot of my friends felt the same exact way. We traveled the world. We did everything we wanted to do. We never got sick, okay? While other people were locked in their homes, they were scared, they were getting sick, they pretty much forfeited a large chunk of their life because of a narrative that was designed and was, yes, affecting certain people, but the scale in which it was presented via the media, if you actually lived the life of traveling and doing stuff like that, you notice it wasn't what was being shown to everyone who chose to be at home, right? So this is another one of those energies where people are going to realize that their freedoms and their choices have been manipulated for the interests of the super elite and those at the high official positions, and they're going to have this energy of retaliation. They're going to have wrath. Wrath is associated to the energy of Satan. Satan is also an echo that kind of echoes the devil. Actually, Satan is one of the elements that composes the devil, and we saw the devil show up in these coming months at the very beginning very quickly. We also know that the devil and Satan are aspects of Set. So when we start kind of seeing like wrath, like all these different dark alchemy connections, and then you start seeing how the second third of 2025 is ruled by that energy of wrath. We're going to be experiencing the energy of Satan from May, June, July, and into August, which is then going to force us to not only look at how much pent up negative emotions we have towards so like certain systems and certain people and certain creations in our life, but the whole entire collective consciousness is going to rise up to make that cataclysmic change. Now, a lot of times when people hear these types of things, they think, oh, it's going to be like nirvana, it's going to be perfect, everybody's going to like have like this deep sense of happiness. But in reality, in order for us to get to the golden age, we need to destroy what is no longer working. And that doesn't mean that we destroy and we instantaneously find a solution. We'll destroy and we have to build the solution a lot of the times after the fact. But we have to at least get out of what's keeping us in a cage. We also have the energy of the moon coming up. The moon is a lot of mental introspection. It's looking at yourself, it's looking at your unconscious mind, and it's looking at how you, being part of the collective consciousness, contribute to the negativity or the positivity of the collective consciousness. Do you work from greed, right? When you create a course to try to help people, are you creating those courses because you're thinking about the amount of money that you're going to get out of that course? Or are you doing it because you know it's going to impact people, right? Are you doing something kind out of the kindness of your heart because you truly are a kind person? Or is it because of the way you want to be perceived by others who are witnessing you doing a kind act, right? You really need to understand where you're creating distortions in your reality that are not authentic with what you are actually trying to emanate. Because any distortion in June, if you haven't cleared it in the first 5 months of 2025, is going to get so loud and so uncomfortable that it's really going to throw you off of your game. But what's really interesting as well is that we have a deep sense of the energy of the Nile with Khnum. So Khnum is the god of the Nile. Khnum is the creator god as well, and we've seen other creator topics show up in the previous months, kind of like guiding us. We've also seen the water element kind of like guide its way into from 2024 into 2025 January, and then we saw another echo of that water energy in May, kind of carrying itself into June. So the water energy gets really, really, really intense in June, particularly. So a lot of flow, a lot of emotional baggage getting released, stuff like that. But it's also the opportunity to flow an intense amount of life energy into any project, into anything that you see is already producing wealth. So as you step into this more grounded state with yourself, and you also allow yourself to understand how the energies of the cosmos are operating, you can then open up more doorways into abundance by being in flow with the frequencies of wealth themselves. The god Khnum shows up again, another Egyptian deity presenting themselves, and as you have been able to see through the reading, this is just pure Egyptian energy. So if you're going to do anything, choose an Egyptian god that you really love and do some, totemic rituals with them so that they can help you guide yourself through the rest of the year. If you're in the Antojai apprenticeship program, or if you're the Antojai 2 program, this is also going to really bring in a lot of deep divine awareness that's going to open up things that you never thought were possible. This is a very powerful year for a lot of different aspects, especially if you're a conscious creator. Finally, we have the energy of the Emperor coming in, which is also very amazing. And what's interesting is that the Emperor hat is sitting on the throne of a pistol or a revolver. And this is still kind of confirming this energy of war that's present. The Emperor is tied to Aries, which is tied to Mars. So here, this right here is even echoing a little bit of that Jinn that is coming in April. So whatever you're doing in April will somehow echo into June and help you or deteriorate you. Really important that you start being aware of how you're constructing your reality. This is a master class on yourself, and you really got to vibe with that. Now we're stepping into July. Don't forget these energies that are controlling this whole sector. We have thunder, we have thunder, lightning, wrath, and the ability of connecting more deeply to community. Now, in July, we're going to be stepping into this energy of the Page of Cups. So we're going to do another introspection of what else do I need to continue moving forward in the highest vibration possible. This is also the energy of Batekal, which is the energy of the healer. So divine healing at a soul, spiritual level is also going to be taking place during this time. The energy in July is a reminder for all of 2025. So listen up if you're catching this right now. Go all in. It's going to seem scary. It's going to seem like you don't have the ability to do it. It may seem like you don't actually think it's possible, but go all in, especially if you have any doubts. If your thing is to become a social media person, go all in. Figure it out, play the game, actually make content, adjust as you make errors. Do not be afraid of making errors, because if you don't, then you will find success and you will succeed. It's only those who kind of like really deeply contemplate the energy of fear and resistance that are only going to meet that as well. So the most healing thing that you can do is actually take action. A lot of times people are like, well, I'm going to manifest healing. I'm going to manifest the lover of my life, and then I'll be healed from a lot of like my internal trauma. No. Like, you need to heal from your internal trauma, and then most likely you will align yourself with someone who can help you evolve your healing ability. But that first step of you healing has to be taken by you, because even if you get in a relationship with someone or anything, and you think that thing is going to be your savior, you're working from a 3D perspective. Okay, and a lot of you are trying to call in more higher consciousness evolutionary factors, like a better lover, a true compatible lover, or a true compatible purpose. Your purpose is waiting for you. Your lover is waiting for you to show up for yourself first, and then they will show up and have a higher resonance evolutionary experience with you. If you're looking still for something to save you, you are dense, and that's why your life is becoming more difficult. You need to heal by taking action, okay? Not heal by like, oh my God, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do some journaling and I'm going to pay attention to all of my like internal wounds and I'm going to try to love my inner child. Like, no, we don't have time for that shit anymore. You literally need to take action. If your inner child has always wanted to go skydiving, you know what you're going to do? You're going to fucking go ahead and book that skydiving session and get it out of the way. The moment you do that, you're going to realize, oh my God, my energy just opened, more money came through, abundance started happening. And even if you don't have the money to book that skydiving session, or even if you don't think like you're going to have any friends that are interested in doing it, it's about you. So if you have to do it by yourself, do it by yourself. If you have to make time for it, okay, I went to a party not too long ago and I met up with people that I haven't seen in over a year. I asked them how they were doing and they were like, oh, same old, nothing really new. And it was a really interesting conversation, because when I asked them, why haven't you done anything, more than, your typical, and they were like, I just don't have time. They didn't have time to allocate for themselves to go go after their dreams. They didn't have time to allocate for themselves to spend more time with their family. They didn't have time for themselves to, you know, be at peace and relax. So these are the types of people and these are the types of habits that make you look back at the end of your life and think, wow, I could have done things differently. Make time. The universe will accommodate every action that you choose to put into your trajectory, into momentum. This is the energy of Mars. Mars does not care what you want. It cares what you're doing, okay? If you say, I am the speaker, and you start booking these gigs, Mars is going to be like, yes, you are. You are that speaker. I'm going to collapse everything that's not in alignment with that. But if you don't have that type of action taking skills, then of course you're not going to experience what you're going to watch people around you experience. So then we have the energy of the Nine of Cups, which is also associated to the energy of your soul and is associated to the energy of happiness, okay? So when the Nine of Cups is presenting itself in your reality, it is really just telling you, like, enjoy the greatness that's happening in reality, especially if you're going through a negative time. So a lot of times when we're going through something negative, it's really hard for us to like focus on the happiness, right, or the good that's happened to us at some point in our reality. But you need to focus on happiness during those times more than ever before, because that's what actually shifts your energy. The more you focus on the negative that's currently happening, the more you're gravitating that energy towards you. You're becoming magnetic because that's where you're moving energy, okay? But if you're in a negative situation, you start focusing on, like, there's been times where things have been so amazing. I love those times that it's been amazing. I'm so grateful that I have a support system, even though I'm going through this dark time. All this other stuff. If you have, like, this awareness that your thoughts are actually shifting reality in every way, shape, or form, then that's what's actually going to give you the ability to become a true masterful alchemist, shaman, witch, healer, whatever it is that your divine purpose is all about. Now notice, it doesn't matter what path you're in, right? If you're a healer, a shaman, a magician, whatever, right? This is affecting everybody. It does not care what your storyline is. It just wants to make sure that you are embodied in fifth dimensional, sixth dimensional energy. The cosmos is manifesting itself through you in 2025 more vividly than you've ever experienced before. And you're going to see it in your unconsciousness. Like, you're going to have moments where you're like, whoa, this isn't me manipulating things anymore directly. This is something else interacting with me and creating this balance. But it's really important too to be like the Knight of Pentacles. Know when to take action and know when to relax. So even though we go into July, July is going to have moments of relaxation and it's going to have moments of, like, you need to show up, okay? So it's really important that you step into this higher sense of self and recognize that when it is time to relax, that you completely disconnect from anything that is not part of that vibration. So, like, the Four of Swords is that deep, intense understanding of being with yourself across all time and space. Isolation during the month of July is really helpful. Going out into nature and just kind of, like, you know, choosing to be alone with your thoughts and recognizing that, okay, when it's time to rest, it's time to, like, hyper sleep. It's not even about, like, let me rest a little bit and then keep going. Like, you need to completely shut down during July when you have those resting moments and just cater to the rest itself. I know it's going to be hard. Sometimes it is very difficult because you feel this anxiety of, like, you got to do stuff, you got to do this, you got to do that. But in reality, you just have to allow yourself to trust the universe. The universe wants you to rest. That's why it's giving you an opportunity to rest. And it wants you to do a really concentrated resting state. And this is what it's kind of like repeating. If you can concentrate on your resting states, then you can definitely concentrate on your most active vibration. We have the energy of the Queen of Pentacles showing up as well. The Queen of Pentacles is reminding us to be strategic and to be happy. Happy with the things that we're doing, happy with our life. Even if it does not working out. If it is working out for us, feeling happiness and feeling gratitude for the things that are actually happening is going to be one of the things that opens up the door and makes your life even more easy. This is, again, about harnessing a consciousness state all of 2025. If you're missing that, you're missing the goal. Now, we see the Devil come up again, kind of reminding us, dude, it's going to be another moment where you have to do some more introspection. The Devil's shown up, like, what, like 3-4 times now? you really got to understand that this year is black magic. And for those of you that have this this scarcity, like you guys are really like tense and you don't want to dive into black magic because of one experience or another or your own taboo, you want to get rid of that as quickly as possible. You want to be able to emerge and be that person that is willing to immerse themselves into the darkness and master the darkness, not as a polarity, but actually as a true divine skill. By doing so, the universe itself is not going to fight you. The universe isn't benevolent because it allows the negative to happen. So you really have to understand that the more you polarize yourself, the weaker you are becoming. A lot of times people perceive light healing as being the most powerful form of healing. It actually isn't, and especially when you start diving into quantum sciences, you start reading more on the dynamics of light. Light actually doesn't have too much of an electrical charge, so light healing can only go so far. Vibrational healing is much more powerful than light healing, which would be coming down to like the vibrations that create sound. Magnetic healing is not as powerful as vibrational healing. There are different ways that we can do shifting in reality, whether it's light based, magnetic, sound, vibrational, electric. But if you're not choosing to work with the higher frequencies, then you're always going to be missing something. And this year, the light frequency is probably at its dimmest. So those of you who are light workers and you don't evolve outside of your perception that God is benevolence and the universe is supposed to exist only in the golden age, and you have this hyperpolarized like fairy tale ending for everyone, you're not going to end up becoming as proficient in the craft that you're looking to master as everyone else who's integrating. The other thing that you need to be realistic and when we're looking, especially with this devil concept, is the fact that in your lifetime, you're not going to change the world into the golden age. Like, none of us are going to die in the golden age, all right? Like, that's just not going to happen. That's not how reality works. Think about the last 100 years. We've made strides in the last 100 years, but we are still fighting amongst each other. We are still trying to define what the human experience is. We still haven't even figured out how to cure like famine, right? Or homelessness, which there's so many different ways that now we've been able to witness how that could be a possibility. And it really just depends on how we take action, right? So being realistic and noticing like, okay, well, you know what? We've been doing this for hundreds of years. Like there are times where we have really great moments, but those moments have to collapse because every generation changes the way it looks at things, right? Like just in our responsibility of life, we've seen the boomers become of like one of the wealthiest generations for their time, and then their kids coming through and then having struggles with the economy. That changes the way that people look at life and interact with life, and the actions that they change during their course of impacting the world itself. So you need to understand that like in our lifetime, we're not going to be in the age of Atlantis, and we're not going to be in like the golden age where like everything's nirvana, you know what I mean? Like, but we can get closer to it with our own self-mastery. And heaven is within your own self-mastery. If you understand that truly and deeply underneath your consciousness, leave a comment in the descriptions below and just say like ascension, because then that means that you're truly in alignment with this divine knowing. Now, it's a point blank. Now, I really love this card. This card basically means thalak. It's a 0 point. It's prosperity. Prosperity was in January, where that's how we opened up. So a lot of what you were supposed to be in alignment with in January and all the work that you were supposed to do up until July is going to collapse. So it's like a double collapse. This is going to collapse from 2024 into July, and then all of this will collapse again into July, showing you from two different axis points, from yin and yang, how balanced you truly are with your own creations and your own manifestations. Now, that seems a little bit far out, is because it's really just trying to see whether or not you are the manifestation. Okay, and I've said this in other years where it's been, the universe has been trying to teach you how to be the manifestation and not how to like try to achieve the manifestation. This is where it's really gonna test you, like, okay, this is like your final. Are you it or are you not it? Now, I still haven't read 2026, obviously, so I don't know what 2026 will bring. It may bring an opportunity to correct anything that's out of balance. But right now, we are experiencing something super high level, especially during July, if we choose to really listen. Now, we also have the energy of the Hermit purple, okay? So the Hermit is the person that goes out and spends time by themselves and detaches from the experience that we're having. Now, the Hierophant green is also another energy of like marriage in a way. So the purple hermit, which first of all, purple, right? This is what we're going to be looking at first. So this purple energy is going to be already setting its energies in July, and then we're going to really feel it with the purple gin in August. So the hermit here is saying retreat into your internal sacred space in your third eye. That's where the hermit is. Usually the hermit goes away from society to meditate, but when a colored hermit shows up, it's telling you to go into that particular retreat space. So what's going to impact your third eye? Let me hang out with my third eye. Let me hang out with my psychic aspect self. Talk to that version of me and hit the next peaks that I need to be embodying the most. Now, the reason why this echoes is because there was another color echo over here. There was green, purple, then purple, okay? So this May, August echoes again January, February because of how the color spectrums are actually repeating themselves. So during this May, August sector right over here, you want to be thinking about the version of you that was January, February, and how to really connect with them deeply. So here, you're also going to have an echo on this one, right? This particular May is going to be very much so in alignment with the energies of January, where August would be very much so in alignment with the energies of February. Okay, so look at the imagery and the imitation that's going on there. There's a lot of warp tunneling happening. We have the energy of the Chariot, which says that you're going to be going towards things that you never thought that you wanted to go after. So the universe is going to start showing you and teaching you more of who you are at a cosmic scale. You have to allow yourself to really vibe with that, experience it at its fullest, and not allowing yourself to get in the way. Your free will is your choice on whether or not you want to follow your soul path or if you want to use it to be more egotistical. Depending on how you go is whether or not it's going to manifest for you more easily. And then we have another echo of the Fool, which the Fool showed themselves over here in May. So May and July has a little bit of an echo as well. The Fool here is kind of just reminding us that you've been able to play around by the time of July with like chaos, the unknown, being in alignment with cosmic forces that are beyond yourself that are helping you shape your year and the years to come, as well as the years that have already happened. You are in all places at once at the now, which doesn't mean sense. It doesn't have sense to it. It's an experience, right? A lot of times people are like, what's it like to be an artist? Well, you're going to have to learn how to draw to really understand what it's like to be an artist, that what it's like to be possessed by an idea at any hour of the night and then completely immerse yourself in paint until you completely disconnected with reality and that idea in your mind has been brought to fruition on a canvas or a piece of paper or anywhere else that you choose your medium to be. Like, this is one of those things where, are you living the lifestyle of the manifestation, which seems chaotic, which seems like it doesn't really necessarily have the answers for you fully? Give yourself the opportunity now to really start being this person without any reservations in July if you haven't been doing it. This is your last final call before the rest of the year gets really intense, okay? July is your last call to be fully embodied, to embody the manifestation, and to be in full clarity with what the future and the past mean right now. So now let's get into August. Now, August is ruled by the energy of lightning and thunder. So it's going to be a very fast month. It's going to feel like it blew right past you, so be prepared. Now, it's also ruled by the purple djinn. The purple djinn is about intuitive knowing. So, like, it can literally tell you anything you want to know about anything. It's tied to the third eye, it's tied to gossip, it's tied to everything that you would love to know. Now be careful, because sometimes you ask to know things that you don't actually want to know, and it can be painful when that information actually surfaces for you to witness, okay? So be careful with what you ask for, but also be attentive that, like, if you truly want to learn more of who you are and evolve into like the highest space possible with who you truly feel destined to be, what are questions that could actually move the needle, right? What are strategic questions? Kind of thinking about like you have 10 questions to ask someone to really understand who they are, where they're going, and what they're doing with their life, so that you can get a really clear picture. You want to treat it like a game. Like you only have 10 questions to ask the cosmic jinn that will then give you suffice answers as to what's about to happen next. Like this is really powerful energy. This is zero bullshit energy. Everything you say, everything you wish for, even if it's a joke, will manifest quickly because of that lightning energy. And I'll give you one example. The other day I was hanging out with one of my friends. One of my friends has this tendency of like every once in a while, doesn't do it very often, but every once in a while makes a stupid joke and it's negative. Like he tends to like think it's funny just saying like this negative thing. And then 90% of the time it ends up manifesting immediately after he says it, right? And it doesn't matter if he makes a joke towards himself or he makes a joke towards a friend, he will create the negative impact. So he did it just a couple of days ago. He said something negative towards, about one of our friends, that it was just like a joke, like, oh, you're going to get in trouble for X, Y, and Z. And then literally 2 days later, that manifested for my friend. And my friend got really angry and basically addressed the person who originally like almost spellcasted and said, every time we hang out, you do this and you need to stop. Otherwise, I can't be your friend, because you making fun of the negative and vocalizing it that then manifests itself is not our friendship. It's not the type of friends that I want to have in my life. And it was a really powerful, like next level creational conversation, because it was two highly aware spiritual people setting boundaries as to, I cannot have you be making a stupid joke that you think is stupid and then manifest harm into my reality. You need to be more accountable for the fact that you have this skill set of spell casting for others, even when you think it's just a joke, and you need to be more conscious of that if you want to be my friend, was the conversation. And like the person had to recognize that yes, in fact, it is a pattern and they've seen it, and that they have to make a choice to move past it. So that's the same energy. Like the jinn is that person that can speak something into reality even as a joke and will still manifest it even if it's disadvantageous. So you really have to be attentive of everything you say, and be attentive to what people around you are saying. If you're really positive and you're thinking about, oh yeah, I'm so abundant, I'm creating this, I'm creating that, and your significant other is like, life is so hard, oh my god, blah blah blah, your energies are now starting to combat, and you're going to have an interruption pattern. Rather, you'll both reach a stalemate, or you will eventually end up creating negativity depending on who has more velocity. If your partner being negative is more anchored into that reality, it will trickle into your life. If you're the one that has more positivity anchored in and you're more powerful, then you'll anchor positivity, but it will be slower. So really be attentive, especially with that lightning energy. The lightning energy almost echoes a lot of like this Saturn vibration, which is like getting rid of negative spirits. Where the Saturn first pentacle was telling spirits to be casted out, the lightning energy of this month of August is basically the energy of Fat or Vajra. So if you practice black magic or tantric magic, Vajra would be one of the things that you really want to get into, or that energy of Fat, because that's what's allowing you to really create new levels of existence. So as we dive deeper into that month of August, we have the energy of life, the energy of the hermit, and the energy of the nameless. So it's almost like letting go of how we perceive reality to be, like particularly when it comes to ease. I had another one of these conversations with one of my friends this yesterday actually, where they were talking about, oh, I want to get this job and I want this job to be like, you know, really, really great for me, but I know that when I get the job, I'm gonna have to jump these hoops, and I'm probably not gonna make money for like the first 3 years. And this immediately started making all this negative content associated to manifestation. And I stopped them and I said to them, is that what you want to happen? Do you want to have that level of resistance? And they were like, no. And I said, then stop claiming that. It could be different for you. It could be that you enter this job and everything just works out really easily for you, and what would normally take someone 3 or 4 years to start making money took you only 6 months. Like, why do you have to claim a timeline that's dense by default? Like, let go of that name. That's an old identity, and that's where that nameless energy comes in. Let go of that name. It's an old identity that, yes, existed in one reality, but what if that's just not you anymore? What if you evolved, right? Like, I know for a fact I used to be a super angry person 10, 15 years ago. Like, I didn't like the person I was. I was super violent, super angry, and now I'm in this energy of like, I don't even recognize who the fuck that person is anymore, because I let go of that name. I let go of the trauma that that person was carrying. I let go of the reasons that that person needed to be angry and violent and vile and toxic and aggressive. I let go of those things. I have a new name. And that's what this energy is really bringing forward for you, is to recognize the new name that you've embodied. If you got to change your name, you know, do it. But if not, just recognize that you no longer are the version of yourself 10, 20, even last year, because you do work on yourself, and that means you've evolved. You have the energy of Lucifer coming up again, another aspect of the devil. And then this energy is the Knight of Wands, okay? So we're still going to spend some time because the Hermit was here. Remember, the purple Hermit was here. We ended up pulling out the first card, which was the Hermit here. So you see that Hermit energy kind of like transfer here from like the purple. Oops, hold on. There's the purple Hermit, right? We see the energy of the purple Hermit, the Hermit, kind of like transfer over. And then we see the energy of Lucifer coming up, which is the Knight of Wands. Lucifer echoing all the many representations of Satan and the devil that have been mentioned here, as well as Set ruling all of the year. So here we need to be really aware of malice. This is now the second time malice is being brought up in the conversation within this second third of the year of 2025. Pay attention to where people do things unconsciously from a malefic place, okay? Malice is not evil. Malice is liking to do shitty things to people for the sheer fun of it, right? Like, I like to curse people because sometimes like they deserve it, right? Like, it's something like that. Or I like to pester you when you're happy because it's just fun to do, right? It's one of those things that you really need to pay attention to, what people are directly causing your imbalance, or that are directly causing malice towards you. Now, this could also be you causing malice towards particular individuals that you need to be paying attention to, too. It really just depends on your perception on your own reality. But everything depends, again, on that time element. Since all of 2025 is being ruled by the 8th chakra, it's more so how you perceive things, where your ethics are, and how you're balancing as above and so below. The energy of Lucifer is also divine feminine, divine masculine, collapsing different aspects of reality down into a synthesized form. Lucifer is also associated to the energy of fractalization. So whether you are synthesizing everything or you are fractalizing yourself a little bit more. But that Knight of Wands energy with Lucifer is pretty much reminding us as well to think about the strategy, think about the bigger picture. Like, we're not working always internally from ourselves. Sometimes we're working from like the grand architect. So if we're looking at ourselves from a cosmic perspective, looking at who we are and what we do as a mini character, how do we evolve that concept? If we can really choose to be in awareness with the energy of the Page of Wands comes up, 2 wands kind of like reminding you a little bit more deeply on strategic planning when it comes to action. It's almost as though like these coming months, these previous months were all about war in some way, shape, or form, you know, with ourselves, with society, with the changes of the world itself, etc. And then now we need to take a little bit of re-strategizing time in August, just to see if we're still going in the right direction. Is there anything that we can improve? Is there anything that we missed? You know, particularly seeing where this malice in our reality. Malice needs to be adjusted. And then we get past the energies of Satan, the devil, and Set. Lots of dark alchemy happening. Now, we have the energy of the surgeon's implements, which is interesting because this is another character card. This is the same character that has the energy of euthanization, and I'll show you that in the screen right now. Same character, as you can see. This rules that energy of bringing something to death that no longer is in alignment, particularly something that has to do with a deep sense of sorrow. Then here we have that same surge in that energy of death coming right back down and saying we're going to really be strategic with where we put this death energy. So in a way, you can even think of 2025 having a lot of like necromancy energy associated to it. So if you're somebody who practices death magic and stuff like that, death mantras, whatnot, this is a really good month for you to really kind of just be fully immersed with all the death magic that's happened in 2025 so far. Okay, so it's really important that you have that mental awareness and you're being strategic. Death magic is cool because you can ask the dead for help. You can also use that energy of death magic to bring something to an end, whether it's a personality trait that you have or a portion of your life, etc. You can even use it to talk to the goddesses of death that can then hyper concentrate their wisdom in some way, shape, or form into your reality. So as well, if you're in Adamans at all in 2025 and you're practicing that, you're going to really be growing in a lot of different ways. So like Antojai being like the right hand path of like divine alignment of infinity, where Adamans being the left hand path of divine alignment of infinity. Two different ways to get there, both very powerful. Next, we have the energy of the hangman, change of perspective. We've already kind of sort of discussed that. And then we have the energy of Horus, another Egyptian god. Now, this is where it's going to get really interesting, okay? Pluto entering Aquarius for America, right, is that energy of Ma'at, the Egyptian goddess of harmony, entering into Horus. So just the fact that Pluto started Aquarius again and like that's all Horus energy, okay? We're already in Horus energy and we're in a year of Set. Set and Horus are enemies, okay? For the most part, you could even argue that they're mortal enemies. So during the energy of August, Horus is going to be the most dominant. So you're going to see a lot of injustices rectified simply because he is the counter position of the year itself, which is Set. Set's going to be doing a lot of domination over mastery of different concepts of self, a lot of chaos throughout the entire year. And then up until August, that's where the energy of our unconscious mind, the inner child. Remember that the inner child was echoed over here in May, and then that echoes as well as the energy of Baset that's looking over this year. We start seeing kind of like these battles. So during August, you want to really focus on rather connecting to the god Horus, or you want to go ahead and you want to connect to the energies of the Eye of Horus so that you can really increase the way that you do things and the way that you perform. It's time to check out September. Now, I want you to pay attention to the placements of where these few elements have been put because they do play into the equation. I'm going to be putting more details in our description. Now, when we enter September, we have this energy of Mother Gaia, which is the energy of the Queen of Pentacles, enjoying our fruits. We've already seen that energy again present itself. It's very consistent. The messages of 2025 are consistent. They just keep repeating themselves because the cosmos knows what it wants. A lot of times people think the cosmos is like this being that's just like, it's not even a being. It's like just this system of things that are just happening. The consciousness of the cosmos is a real thing. It shows up as the goddess Neith in ancient Egyptian culture. So since there's a huge ancient Egyptian theme happening all of 2025, it's safe to say that Neith is the one that's calling all the shots in 2025, okay? That's all the 12th chakra energy. And as Neith manipulates things from the Akashic records, and everyone who can communicate with Neith will essentially start seeing evolutions with their perception of time and space. Very consistent energy. As we step into September with that understanding and those practices, we're going to be in this high vibration of the 13th frequency, which is the frequency of the Ascended Masters. It's the frequency of grounding, the frequency of the secrets of Earth itself. Then we also have the energy of Tiferet, which is the 11th chakra. And Tiferet is about beauty. It's about spirit. It's about overcoming rashness, pride. Interesting. Overcoming pride. Lucifer is the overseer of the frequency of pride that shows up in August. So then we start seeing kind of like here we have a little bit of Luciferian energy, and then September ends up coming in, rebalancing that energy, putting it back in its place so that there can be this hierarchy of expression. Then we also have the energy again of the Emperor showing up, as the Emperor ended up showing up as well in June. Here we can see another little bit of an echo here. The Emperor being again associated to the energy of Mars, the energy of fire, the energy of taking action, okay, the energy of Aries, which Aries would be this sector over here. Every time we see the Emperor, right, so September and then June, we're over here somehow in that energy, all right, between March and April. Basically kind of like that's where the echoes happen when we practice this energy. Now, we're going to be forced to ponder, reflect, and consider new aspects of ourselves. Now, this is something about the Emperor's energy that's extremely powerful. There are times when the Emperor steps into war, and there's times when the Emperor is at peace. There are times where the Emperor is in between both spaces, waiting for something to happen so that action can be applied and taken. So here is basically telling you again, reflection on your internal power. What does your power mean? What does your frequency of life actually embody? Like, what is going on in your universe? And how do you stay a master of that, right? You can only master your own universe. You can't really do anything else other than understanding the true frequency of God, the true frequency of self. Now we have the energy of the star Horus coming up again. Okay, Horus carries from August into September, like we were talking. So this energy again is in opposition with the energies of the entire year of Mars. This is another great month for you to really dive deeper into your introspection, healing the inner child, really understanding your divine unconscious subsets, doing more heart coherence meditations. There's a lot going on here that we need to be paying attention to as we vibe with that energy. Okay, so Horus is great for victory, which is another echo of 2024 as the year of victory. So things that you weren't able to complete in 2024 are really going to become easy for you to do in August and September of 2025. Okay, now we have the energy of Atum, which is quite interesting because I believe Atum was in March. So we have two vibrations of Atum showing up. Now, Atum being in March also gives us that understanding that, you know, we were pursuing some sort of divine happiness and concentration by becoming one with nothingness. And then it showing up, him showing up again, another Egyptian god in September, is bringing things into completion, totality, and finishing. Okay, so Atum, though Atum created the universe and many esoteric concepts, he's also said to be the one that shows up in a later future to destroy everything that he's created, even the gods themselves, because everything should return back into nothingness. This energy kind of coming back into the energies of Noon that controlled the entire year. From Noon came Atum. Okay, so it's almost like a reverse wiring. Lots of destructive energy. But if you are in alignment with your highest self and your highest creations, it'll be a lot of completion energy. A lot of things coming to fruition that will make you feel amazing because they're done and over with. They're no longer something that you have to even think about or put energy towards. But what's really interesting with this same vibration of energy is allowing yourself to be conscious that you are the destroyer. You are the creator of your own universe at any given moment. And you don't have to wait for these pivotal cosmological events to be in that potential and take action from that space. So it's a lot of like divine awareness that time and space really cannot affect you unless you are letting it affect you. Okay, so a tomb, when a tomb also shows up, is not only that energy of finality, that energy of completion, but it's also the energy of totality. Like you need to know 100% who you are, what you are, where you're going, and why it's happening. You may not have all the details. You may not know that when you go from A to C, you have to cross B, right? You may not know that, but at least you know that you're on your way to C, and whatever you need to do to get to C will happen by like coincidence, synchronicity, divine alignment, however you want to look at it to help you empower yourself to make the movements. This is the year where you really need to solidify, especially by September, like why you exist. Why are you here? Like, why do you do the things that you do? Are you just finding your way, or do you internally know that you're supposed to be like this great shaman that helps the world? And are you living from that space? Are you waiting for something to turn you into that thing that you want to be? Are you waiting for something to confirm to you that you are that thing? The universe doesn't care anymore. And as the years have passed, every time I've done a tarot for the year, the universe has progressively gotten more and more aggressive, kind of telling you, whatever, I don't really care what you're talking about. It doesn't really matter. Like if you want it, go get it. If you don't want it, whatever. And now it's seriously like, who are you? I'm only going to respond to who you really are. And if you don't like what's happening in your reality, it's because you're in that vibration itself. Okay? So it's really powerful stuff with that energy of Atum. And then finally, we come back with that energy of the Wheel of Fortune, which had presented itself as well in previous months. I can't remember exactly what month it was, but yeah, Wheel of Fortune, January. So here we have another Wheel of Fortune on the same row. We are starting to see that there is an echo again happening to January in some way, shape, or form. Some of the abundance that's going to be reaped in September is linked to some of the abundance that was reaped in January. And some of the seeds that you sowed, some of the seeds that were planted in January are now going to be fruiting in September. Now, this energy of the Wheel of Fortune is much more powerful than the energy of the Wheel of Fortune up here. The Wheel of Fortune in January was this energy of like, go, 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 go. We're going to pursue abundance and happiness. The Wheel of Fortune here in September is the divine cosmic alignment of Dharma, okay? Which, as you can see, usually the Wheel of Fortune has a wheel, right? Which is associated in many ways to the Dharmic wheel. Well, the Dharmic wheel is associated to the energy of the Judgment card that rules all of 2025. So if you are in alignment with your soul purpose and you're fully embodying it without any reservation, it's just easy coasting from here. Now, this may seem like, oh my God, Axel, it sounds like you're saying the same thing over and over and over again from different perspectives, from different understandings. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like the same message. Like, why are we doing this reading? Because you're going to forget. It's one thing reading it right now, hearing it, and being like, yeah, I'm going to plan for it. I'm going to do everything I need to do. But when the manifestations actually start taking off, you're going to get lost. And you're going to forget of what you read or heard in these particular readings. And it's going to come back to you like, oh, shit, like, oh my God, let me watch that tarot again. This is something I need to meditate on, like, whatever, etc., etc., etc. That's all going to come forward. And then you're going to remind yourself, like, oh, yeah, I guess this was something that I learned a little bit differently the month before. It was the same message, the same energy, but it manifested itself differently. Oh my God, right? So, like, you start kind of seeing like this domino effect of events that end up happening to help you reach more and more of your frequency. Now, I forgot to read this section right here for this final third from September, October, November, and December. We have the energy of Gabriel, the Archangel Gabriel that shows up. And Archangel Gabriel is associated to the moon and is associated to water again, which is associated to the west and it's associated to the past. So these months right here are going to be echoes of past events that are currently impacting us and how we, towards our future self, are impacting our future self from our current perspective. Okay, so it's really trippy stuff that's going to be happening, which is going to be forcing us to unlock divine occult secrets that we can't fully verbalize. And that message kind of like came up earlier, which then forces us to step into the energy of the heart, the energy of the heart, and the energy of the hummingbird, which is the energy of happiness, which we also heard in this section right here of happiness, the energy of birth, the ideas of something that you've really wanted to happen for quite some time to manifest. And especially that energy of the hummingbird and birth is going to be the most prominent in September for that last third of the year. So it's really important to just kind of like, start making an idea, like journal what you want right now. Plan, if you're watching this in December, listening to each one of the months, even if you're listening to it right now, during September, don't see it as a loss if you're not really making the strides that you want. Just get clearer. The clearer you get, the easier it will be. So then we go into the energy of October. October is the pink gin, which is very similar to the green gin. They're both like heart chakra related energies. The pink gin is more so like passionate energy, the energy of like what truly makes you thrive at an atomic level. Now this is like the love you feel anatomically, the like charge of love at an anatomical level, okay? I say it multiple times so you can kind of like hear it at some point. This is not about you vibrating love. This is nothing like that. This has to do with Atum. Atum was the previous month, okay? And Atum showed up as well in March. So here we have to be like really attentive to like the magic has evolved. Like energy healing again has evolved. If you're practicing Antojai, then you're great. Like you don't really have to worry about it because obviously you're adjusting by like naturally by being on the frequency. If you're practicing other modalities that came from people's egos, that's going to just be something that's going to naturally show you that you don't feel those energies, you don't work with those energies anymore. They're not really something that you really want to be in embodiment with. Here we have the energy of the Ten of Swords upside down, basically saying there's no room for error or no room for like failure. So by the time we enter October, that pink gin is going to have you be more in love with success itself. Super important that you keep that in the forefront of your mind as like you're working through the year. If the year seems difficult, well, by October I'm going to have guaranteed success. Like the pink gin is going to hyper focus all of your energy into the success vibration, and you're only going to get the reward that is associated and in alignment with the amount of resonance you're in when it comes to success. If you think that you only need 10% of success when the pink gin presents itself, then you're just going to get 10%, right? So if you've been doing a lot of like strides throughout the entire year and you're seeing those strides really manifest for you, then that's going to be a really good thing for you. You'll obviously reward yourself with more. But this is also like an opportunity to go on in new industries, new ways of doing things. Like by October, it's gonna show you where you can open up new avenues to create and recreate yourself in ways that you did not anticipate were possible for you. Things that you haven't even thought about bringing into fruition, and it's gonna bring you into this hyper concentration of who you are, what you want, and what needs to be absolutely executed. The Ace of Swords comes out again. You had the Ace of Swords in this month as well. June echoes the same kind of energy that's happening underneath it, which is the energy of October. So it's interesting how we even like lay out the template, and then the cards are like literally stacked underneath each other, like with the Wheel of Fortune here and the Wheel of Fortune here, and then the Ace of Swords here, the Ace of Swords here, and how the months are kind of like echoing each other in different ways. It's because we're not actually traveling through time. That's what's really weird about this 2025 year. We're not necessarily traveling through time. We're traveling through ourselves. We're traveling through the collective consciousness, okay? Time doesn't necessarily matter in 2025. It's more space that matters. How much space are you allocating to people disrespecting you? How much space are you allocating to you not really being in full alignment with yourself? Those are the things that really present themselves in this moment, and especially with October showing up with that pink gin, it's gonna force you to truly give up all resistance that you have. It's not gonna heal you. It's not gonna make your life like super fucking easy. It's gonna first force you to give up wanting to feed that aspect of yourself that's negative, that's not you anymore. It's not who you really want to be, so it's not obviously who you truly are. A lot of times we think about like, oh, I'm this person I don't want to be. I want to be somebody else. I got to strive to be that person. What if it's just as easy as you letting go, being who you've been, and just being the person that is? That's it, right? Like, what if you don't even have to work for it? You just need to let go of who you think you are or how reality is supposed to work out, right? That's where the energy of Vajrakilaya, Vajra, which is the energy of lightning that echoes over here, and all this whole entire section of the 2025 year. Vajrakilaya, the god of wrathful compassion, is one of the things that he is really well known for. So turning that energy of Satan, which is wrath, into actual transmutable love that actually makes impact with people. And sometimes I'm in a session with somebody and somebody comes to me and they're like, yo, you know, they need like tough love. You give them tough love because that's the medicine that's required. Tough love is going to be presented in that month of October to force you to step into a higher sense of self. But be careful during October. There's going to be shiny object syndrome. As you're starting to solidify and concentrate your energy at a soul level, there's going to be new things that start presenting themselves that try to take you away from the concentration itself. So even if it seems like a really great opportunity, if it's going to muddle your hyper mastery of yourself, know thyself, it's going to take you away from that. Maybe put it on the back burner, try to adjust it until the next month, because October is a key month for you to be fully aligned at a multidimensional level. Okay, this is beyond light magic. This is beyond magnetic magic. This is beyond energy healing. This is like something that I don't even know how to fully classify other than ascended mastery itself, okay? Everyone during 2025 has the opportunity to experience the power of ascended mastery. And a lot of times people are like, "Oh, I want to be an ascended master," or when I hit ascension, it's going to be so much easier. My life's not going to have any issues whatsoever. Listen, I'm an ascended master. There's a bunch of ascended masters that are incarnated. We still have day-to-day lives. Like, we still got to eat. We still fall sick. We still have all these other experiences that happen by default. Just because you become an ascended master, an ascension, like aficionado, doesn't make it any less real that you're having a human experience. Does it make the human experience more easy? Yes, absolutely. But it's not going to be something that you just like kind of like sleep on, and you just live nirvana and like royalty the rest of your life, because you still have a purpose, and being an ascended master will require you to fulfill your purpose regardless if you go with the flow or you don't. And that's where it makes it tough or easy. So 2025 is bringing us into this self-awareness that like you can experience being an ascended master. And if you do truly do the work, you can probably even stay very close to that frequency. If you don't do the work or you ebb in and out, depends on how you get caught at the end of the year. We also have the energy of warding off. That warding off energy again echoes the first pentacle of Saturn. So during the month of October, you'll still be able to use that Saturn energy to kind of like block off and ward off anything that's negative happening in your reality, commanding negative entities to leave your reality. Okay, it's really, really important. We also have the energy of the Magician Red. Now, this is all fire energy, and look, he's carrying the Ankh. This is also the energy of Venus that shows up as well, because the Ankh kind of sort of like imitates that Venus symbol. Venus energies were all in this month of February. The Ankh being an Egyptian thing that's showing up in a bunch of different ways all over the 2025 year. So here we're starting to see like the Ankh is the key of life. It opens up doorways to new things that we want to experience and new things that we carry deep within. Okay, so the fire energy echoes the fire energy that's ruling all of 2025, the fire energy that's clearly in the vibration of the tower, right? The fire that's kind of like taking force, the lightning that's taking force. There's a lot of different echoes here that are happening when we start looking at these cards. Now, the Magician Red has come to understand infinity, okay? And how to use the power of infinity for expansion and creating life. So in a lot of Vedic, not Vedic, but a lot of esoteric texts, it talks about how the universe kept expanding and there was nothingness, and it expanded and expanded, it expanded, it expanded, until there was so much of an expansion that this heat happened. And then that heat, as everything kept getting hotter and expansive, ended up exploding, creating an echo effect across reality, which is alternate universes, the death of reality and the rebirth of reality, kind of sort of reiterating what Atum had said during this time. Then we have the energy of the sun again coming up with that same vibration of Atum. Okay, and I pulled that card literally not even looking at it. Like here we have another echo. So this energy of Atum is not only in March, but it's also in September, and it's also in October. Us understanding these deeper concepts of our reality, understanding that we can expand and create massive impact by being a container of our own energy, by being at harmony with ourselves and birthing a new aspect of ourselves consistently, nonstop. That is what's going to allow us to not only hit this peak of ecstasy, but it's this peak of ecstasy that's like almost like immobilizing or paralyzing, right? It says the lucky land is the name here. So you end up hitting like this heaven on earth kind of scenario when you really do truly balance yourself and create a container for yourself. A lot of us create containers for aspects of ourselves. We create containers for other people in our reality, other situations in our reality. We create a container that says we have to work really hard to be successful. We create containers that say people can only love us under certain conditions, right? These are containers that we can eliminate, we can fill, we can create. You can easily make a container that says everything I do is successful. Everything that I really passionately love ends up impacting millions of people. There's a lot of valuable extreme power that comes from being conscious of like your self-mastery and your self-creation. Now, we finalize this month of October with the energies of the Justice card, 11, balance, kind of bringing in more awareness. This is Pluto energy as well, Libra energy. So a lot of it has to do with just simply letting go, again, death. Like that's another death vibration. Everything that we're going to be experiencing is a transcendental experience all throughout the 2025 year. October really brings it into a triple format, time, space, infinity. During the previous months up here, we were experiencing rather time, rather space, rather infinity, rather spirit, rather soul. There's a lot more in this section up here, of like changing and alternating frequencies. But by October, it's strictly time, space, and infinity. What's the work that you've been doing? How have you been aligned with that work? And how are you going to continue to move forward with said wisdom as an embodied creature? It's no longer even looking at the past to see how we modify. It's looking at the future, knowing who we are, what we are, and where we're going. Now, a lot of this is going to seem repetitive, but by October, you're going to see why there was so much repetition, because that rune of secrets is on the October vibration. So that is basically going to make sense in October why these things were so heavily important. It was drilled on you. And again, it doesn't really matter if you're on the good side or the bad side, but in October, you will definitely see why the cosmos wanted you to behave in said fashion. And then that's going to really open up the doorway for amazing things to come. All right, so now we're going to go into November. November is controlled by the Red Djinn. The Red Djinn is all about like primordial power, feeling safe in your abilities of your own sense of self. It has to do a lot with the Kundalini. It has to do with sexuality. It has to do with anything that's basically tied to the root chakra or the red frequency. not necessarily the root chakra. A lot of times people just confuse the root chakra as like the frequency of red. The root chakra is on the same spectrum of red. It's not the entirety of the vibration of red, if that's one way to look at it. So this is a great time to like re-solidify any loose ends. Make sure that you have a good understanding of yourself. You get to really harness more of your internal ability so you can open up the doorways. Now, here we come off with the energy of Mother Nature with the High Priestess upside down. This is a really good time for us to reconnect with the environment, reconnect with animals, reconnect with just like a sense of like the global energies. This really does echo a bit over here when we started off with the energies of Gaia in September. So it's almost like the energies of September are echoing over into November, that Mother Nature, Mother Earth energy, really nurturing ourselves with natural energies, right? Like whether we travel or do something like that, or we're allowing ourselves to use our frequency to help others at a higher capacity. We have the energy of Pluto, which is another death energy. It's also tied to wealth and abundance. So this is almost like culminating a lot of what's happening during this time period, giving us an opportunity to really look deeper into some of the manipulations and some of the other things that have been going on in our reality, whether or not we want to keep walking these paths, whether or not we want to keep even entertaining certain ideas. The energy of the King of Pentacles is reaping the rewards in full of the things that you've put out into the universe, right? Almost like investments. Like everything you do is an investment, regardless of whether or not it's money or assets, but it's actually like the way you interact with other people, the way you give people love, the way you sow seeds in general. Like that's all an investment. So the energy that you put out is the energy that actually will come back. And that Hades energy is just kind of like collecting your debts, right? Whatever your debt is what's going to come back to you, okay? So this is really powerful energy because associated to Pluto as well is the energy of time and space. So this is going to be a lot of distortion of time, a lot of recollapsing of certain timelines. And when Isis shows up upside down, it usually means that we're not going with the flow, or like the collective consciousness isn't going with the flow. They felt like a little bit lost or turbulent energy happening in their manifestations. So it's really important to understand that people are going to feel ungrounded during this time. As a healer, it would be helpful for you to, do as much grounding as possible, or create an environment that can ground the person by default when they enter your space, because that's going to be the most valuable thing for them. A lot of people during this time are also going to be asking themselves more deeply, who are they in the terms of the soul collective? Not who they are in the cosmos, not who they are on earth, not who they are within their community, but what are they as a soul being that's echoing their vibration as a mantra or a lesson for the collective. People are going to really tap deeper into that sense of what is my existence propagating in all areas of reality, which is going to be a very deep introspection. Then we come out with the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands, again, is telling you to go after what you want, keep moving forward, don't stop. But sometimes you can apply a little bit of strategy that no one saw coming, so you could be on top of everything that's going on naturally. So strategy still is applicable here. Strategy is also still necessary during this time. Don't ignore it, don't turn it down, but definitely, have fun with it. Strategy isn't always about like what you do, right? Or like how serious it is. Strategy is more so about how you study how other people think and how other people will react. And you can see that in a bunch of different games that require strategy, which this is what it's really opening itself to, like being a forward thinker. So this all gives us like a really deep level of understanding that we're coming into like this really hyper synthesized state with ourselves. Like we really truly honestly need to understand who we are as individuals and not waver from that cosmic sense, and then actually give into the full expression of everything that we do, because every movement we make makes an echo. Every time I have a conversation with someone, that's an echo in another reality, right? Because they bring that energy that they experience through me into other areas of their life, whether it's positive or negative. So understanding the true impact of your existence across reality is one of the major things that are going to be coming up here in November. We also have the Three of Pentacles, which If you've been doing everything right, by November, you're going to really be witnessing a higher sense of community, a higher sense of love, a higher sense of unity in many different aspects of your life. Even though people may still be struggling, you're going to be really, really aware of the progress you've made because you're going to feel higher resonance in every aspect of your life, particularly in the sense of community and having allies that help you move forward. We also have the Broomcorn Beatdown, which this right here is basically saying like a deep sweep, a deep cleansing. The month of November is going to be, it's not going to be like harsh like previous months, but it's still going to be self accountable, and it's going to force us to step into a sense of like house cleaning, you know what I mean? Like spiritual cleaning. We've been doing a lot of transformation and stuff like that, but sometimes when you do like a lot of adventuring, you don't have time to organize, you don't have time to be like cleanly, you don't have time to like be like your normal flow state of harmony. Cleanliness during this time of November is extremely important, especially when it comes to how you are in flow with things with that energy of Gabriel. If you are a writer of any shape or form, right, or you're creative, then Gabriel during the months of September to December are going to be very powerful for you to really tap into that energy. So, even prepping you for 2026 to be writing a book and releasing that. So, this would be the year of you. That's something that you really want to get deeper into. And as we keep looking at this, we have the energy of Osiris, okay? Another Egyptian god, just like Isis, another Egyptian goddess. Osiris and Isis are married to each other. So when Osiris shows up, this is about like rebirth magic, right? Isis goes into the underworld to get Osiris. So Isis shows up primarily first upside down, kind of saying like she's going into essentially the underworld, Mother Nature, and then she's meeting with Osiris on the other side, who comes up right side up. Osiris is also connected deeply to the energies of the Wheel of Fortune, where we saw the Wheel of Fortune in September and as well as January of 2025. So here we're having another echo of energies happening, which is interesting because this is kind of like the reemergence of Horus in a way, and Horus, being in that controlling factor over there for the month of August. We start kind of like seeing that Isis is going into the underworld to procreate with Osiris during November so that Horus is reborn, not only in August, but all of 2025 and the Pluto in Aquarius effect that's going on, as well as what's going to come within 2026. Like, this is a really massive echo that goes backwards into reality itself. So, Osiris is just pretty much reminding you focus on what you want, focus on being fruitful, prosperous, and don't let anything take you down. Osiris was killed by Set, which is interesting how the cards play out the story all over again of kind of like the creation. But the Egyptian creation talks about how Isis and Osiris were married. They're the the parents of Horus. Horus and Set are mortal enemies because Set ends up killing Osiris because he wants to become king. And then this is kind of like a cycle that's like almost like the karmic cycle of the gods themselves. In a way, when you read tarot at this level, you understand that the gods are not omitted from their karma, and the gods have specific cycles that they relive so often. So right now we're in November, we're caught in this story of Osiris being killed by Set, and basically Isis going into the underworld to procreate with Set so that they can birth Horus, which is the inner child, the unconscious mind, the true potential of reality itself when we don't give it limits. So this is a really powerful time again, with especially because this opportunity comes with the Kumpi stone of birth. Okay, we're starting to see like, wow, the birthing of a specific aspect of reality, like it just keeps kind of like echoing itself over and over and over again. Super powerful. We have the energy of judgment, which judgment ends up coming back up there with the energies of noon. There's something that we're forfeiting, okay? And this is a collective forfeit that is going to be happening for a lot of us. So we really need to open our minds to choosing to choose our own dissolving, our own destruction. Like, choose your destruction and you will know which way you're going to create, versus letting destruction come for you and being afraid of whether or not you will be recreated. Okay, it's a very powerful kind of mantra that's going on here. This judgment card comes back to the energy of fire, which rules all of 2025. Also, the fire that's inside of the tower. We start seeing a lot of echoes just kind of like coming back forth. Think about 2025 as the opportunity for you to be beyond time and space itself. And then in November, you'll be seeing a lot of those connections really come through. We have the energy of the yellow temperance, which yellow coming back to May kind of re-echoing into November. You want to have patience, but it should be an unconscious patience. Like, an unconscious patience is when you know something's going to happen, so you don't have to even worry about it. Like, you know that you ordered food and that you're gonna go pick it up, right? Like, you know that by that even if you get to the location and your food's not ready, they're still making your food and you're gonna leave that location with your food, right? So like, there's like this unconscious patience there. Like, sure, maybe inconvenient if you get to the location and your food's not ready and you still have to wait a little bit longer, but you still know that you don't have to stress out because your manifestation has come to be, right? At a mental, unconscious, inner child level, you know that you're going to get what you want, right? Or what you requested. And this is one of those things that's really powerful because it's testing us to really deeply connect more with our inner child. So the inner child needs to feel this sense of safety. And I know not all of us have the same kind of childhood, but there are certain moments in our lives where we didn't feel like we needed to worry, right? Like, if we wanted our parent to give us food, they would give it to us and we would just communicate that we were hungry or something else, right? There's a point in our lives where we didn't have to really worry about being sustained. There was a point in our life that we just asked and we received because we were children, right? And even if it wasn't out of love, we still received because we asked as children. That's why it's a yellow temperance. It comes up kind of reminding us to connect right back to that inner child when the kid would ask for something and the result would have to merge itself to reality and manifest, okay? So like, you're here right now regardless of the positive or the negative that's happened because you have asked and the universe has given as a byproduct, right? Similar to the inner child. And now we are taking this moment to reparent the inner child into a higher position of itself so it doesn't have to stress out anymore about its full embodiment. But we have the tower comes up again. This is the Tower of Gray. So Mars really kicks in November. So you really have to be aware that like you're not out of the clearing just because it's November, it's almost the end of the year. The tower is going to be not visible. It's going to become invisible so that the problems continue, but you are oblivious to their origin. And this is really tricky because this is where you're going to have to rely on all the magic that you've done throughout the year to really, really get out of November unscathed. So there's a lot of transformative energy, but we're going into the underworld with that Isis energy, and we're going to be more connected during November to the land of the dead, the Osirans. You're going to see a lot more death magic being manifested fully in November, and it's one of those things that if you're not like attentive or you don't know this is going on, your life can feel scary. The world can feel dim. It can feel like we're all going in a very bleak direction, and it can be very negative depending on who you are and how you perceive yourself. So it's super, super, super important that you allow yourself, especially in November, to recognize I'm going through a rebirth process. I'm rewriting multiple aspects of my timeline, not only in the past but in the future. But I also have to recognize that even if it looks like there's peace, there is still the tower and it's invisible. It's the final boss is basically what is trying to express to you here in the energies itself. Woo! Give yourself a pat on the back because we are in the final month of 2025. Now, if you have been having a solid, beautiful, amazing, delicious, super sexy year, all right, it's because you did all the work and you deserve it, okay? So give yourself a second to be like, hell yeah, and twerk a little bit. Twerk, 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 twerk. December is all about the blue djinn. The blue djinn has to do with your throat chakra, has to do with the other worlds. It has to do an echo because actually the Osiris vibration echoes into the throat chakra because Osiris controls the throat chakra and the afterlife is associated to the throat chakra. So it's very interesting how there's another echo here kind of happening, right? So there was this echo here, there was this echo here, and then I believe there was this echo right over here as well, right? So we start seeing kind of like this interconnectivity between time itself, our experiences, and the lessons that are happening. The blue djinn is all about what we vocalize, what we truly authentically feel like we want to be in alignment with, and anything that seems otherworldly that we want to get in touch with. So like maybe some really far out esoteric knowledge. Maybe you are wanting to get in touch with a loved one that's passed away, etc., etc., etc. This is a really valuable time to work with the blue djinn to open up doorways to the next reality that you're trying to really master in full, right? So then we have the energy of the lovers that comes out with Eros and Hymen. Deep love is going to be the deep reflection of December. So it's going to be a lot about what we married, how we're building ourselves, how we are going to enhance more of our love and our passion with the things that we've come to acquire throughout the rest of the year. This is really powerful energy for you to really understand truly and deeply who you are, what you are, and where you're going, okay? So this is kind of like a vibration, a culmination of everything that you are. You're getting rewards. You're feeling at peace. You're feeling like, you can reflect and actually be constructive on enhancing, upgrading this new reality that you've installed. We also have the energy of abundance, tons of abundance coming through that you can basically embody. There's again that water energy. A breath of life comes forth, reminding you how powerful you truly are and where you're coming from. It's a really good energy that just is going to re-enhance a lot of your community building, a lot of your self-importance, and where you're really going in life. Then we have the energy of the magician. The magician comes up just to remind you again the cosmic vibration of the year. So remember how I said at some point that Neith is essentially controlling all of 2025 by almost like combating Set's natural rule. So if 2025 was Set, right, which is the god of chaos, Neith, the goddess of the cosmos, is kind of like trying to balance and bring temperance to his chaotic nature. The card of the magician is actually tied to Neith, and the magician has actually showed up as well, I believe, over here and a couple other places. Every time the magician has shown up, it has been a reminder of working in tandem with the cosmos. We still have a little bit of shaky ground that we need to overcome. This is more societal, again, coming back with world events. The world itself is going to be going through a lot of different changes, as we are as well, but it's not going to be like a constant smooth. Like now we're on this this rampage to the ends of December to really solidify a reality that works for everyone, that everyone feels that they can participate in. That doesn't always necessarily mean it'll be a smooth transition or that everyone's going to be happy, but we need to understand that we need to keep fighting for the things that we want while using our psychic intuitive nature to become even clearer on every action that we do. We come back to that energy of death, which death is up here as well as one of the major contributors of the entire year, which is interesting because 2024 also ended in death. So it's like death just continued its vibration all the way through. Luckily, in 2026, that is going to be a sun year. So it's going to be a really awesome time for you to kind of open up. Depending on what kind of astrology that you do, it could be a sun year or it can be a void year. depending if you use 1 or 0 as your start point. But this death energy here is reminding us that we're coming into full completion with not only what the year of 2025 wanted us to experience, but also the ending vibration of 2024 that was being carried into this entire experience. So death, we are fully transformed. We are understanding the true nature of time, space, and infinity, and we're stepping forward deeper into a sense of self that helps us feel embodied and truly powerful. So then we have the energy of the moon, the dark blue moon. Again, it's going to force us one last time before we step into 2026 to look at the darkness that we're holding on to unconsciously. So there's, as you've noticed throughout all of 2025, there's been these key moments where the darkness summons itself for you to confront it and to understand it. Now we're in this space at the very end of it, like the very bottom of the darkness, the very, very, very heaviest part is going to show up in December. Not to destroy us, but to simply, again, acknowledge the devil, acknowledge the negative energies that we're holding on to, and overcome that. But in order for us to do that, we need some strength. And we saw that there was a ton of strength that was being called in the month of March, which had actually mentioned strength 2 times. This was the last message was strength itself in the month of March. And now we're starting to see that energy again show up in December. So there's an echo here between December and March, which allows us to really understand different aspects of our reality. It allows us to really understand like this perspective of who we thought we were was so much more limited than who we actually showed up to be. So sometimes you think like, oh, I'm going to be a 10 out of 10 performer, and then you end up showing up as a 20 out of 10 performer. You didn't even know that you had all that potential and ability inside of you to actually show up as that person. So this is going to be like one of those reflection of strength, also coming back to that energy of the Eye of Ra, the Eye of Ra destroying everything that's not in harmony, also coming back to that energy of Heka, which Heka has that energy of truly being deeper and more intertwined with the ancient magics of Egyptian culture. So we're ending the month even with this really high resonance of the Egyptian frequencies, as well as stepping into the vibration of justice, coming back to Ma'at, the goddess of justice in Egyptian culture. So this is a combination. You reaped what you decided to experience and what you decided to strategize, okay? There was no like everyone was out to get you. There's no sorrow of like this year was difficult because the cosmos was conspiring against me. There's none of that. The main lesson here was to embody your power, knowing that the unknown and the cosmic forces are helping you get there. Do not be stagnant. Do not accept failure as part of it, because wherever you place your cosmic focus is where the universe is going to keep manifesting itself. Considering that we were being ruled by Mars, which is moving forward, adventure, also war, but also we were ruled by Uranus, which Uranus was that cataclysmic shaking energy. And we have to acknowledge that we had the opportunity to reap a lot of different rewards because the world itself was changing in a drastic way. So if you end up here in December with what it is that you truly have been calling in, you are a true divine warrior. Take this time to not only finish your self-mastery, but take this moment to acknowledge and even write yourself a letter of thank you because you have made it this far. It's a very powerful vibration coming back full circle into this Pluto Aquarius energy. We return at the end of December in alignment with the goddess Ma'at and the god Horus as we step into the next vibration, which potentially is Ra when we enter 2026. So here we have the final lesson of the entire 2025 year. If you ever have to return to this and compare other future tarots and stuff like that, you'll be able to do so by just referencing this part of the deck, okay? This is the major lesson of all 2025. This is a secret sauce. I normally don't share these because I think it makes it a little bit too easy for people to like navigate, but let's go deeper into what it means, okay? If you fall prey to anger, you will experience oppression. and you need to understand that oppression is directly intertwined with anger. You feel oppressed, you grow resentful, you gain negative energies, you become angered, and then you take action from a malefic or devilish satanic place, right? So here this energy is reminding you to, throughout the entire year of 2025 and moving forward into 2026, you are protected. This is a divine energy. You need to truly trust that Mother Earth is protecting you even when you do feel like you're experiencing some level of oppression. The more you tune into your 10th chakra, the easier it will be for you to create massive growth and abundance. And then we have the energy of the moon coming up for the second time, okay? What's interesting is like, right, the December ends with some of the moon energies moving forward, right? So this is one of the major lessons, learning the internal wisdom of who we truly are at an unconscious level without any prejudice as to what we learn about ourselves. This is the great god Thoth, which Thoth is the Egyptian god of wisdom and knowledge and the divine secrets of the cosmos. Thoth himself has learned about the negative vibrations and the positive vibrations because he's wanted to know the truth of all reality. And he's come to understand that both sides are equally as powerful. They have their time of supremacy or dominance, and then everything ebbs and flows, especially when we speak about the third dimension. So Thoth comes out with this divine wisdom, not only reminding us of who we learned ourselves to be in this year of 2025, but to also recognize that we're divinely protected even if we do have negative qualities or we embrace the entirety of our positivity and our negativity. Then we have the energy of Merlin. Merlin comes up with the spirit, and it's also all about being the grand magician, right? The magician also showed up over here at the very end of December. Merlin is a great magician, kind of just reminding you a little bit of the Page of Pentacles. Like, there's so much more that we can learn. We've gained so much from just 2025, but there's so much more we can learn about ourselves. This was a divine yearly practice of getting to know ourselves at a true esoteric ascension level. And this shouldn't be stopping just because 2025 is stopping. This should be a lifelong habit that you learn how to cultivate in every area. So try to really force yourself to become fully immersed in being able to do this whenever you need to, and you will be a masterful magician. Like, this is one of the secret things. If you master all of 2025 in a fantastic way, you will walk away with something that you never thought you would ever acquire in this lifetime. Finally, we come in with the energy of Neith, and Neith slows down and shuts off, which is interesting. You know how this whole time I'm talking about Neith, I haven't seen these cards yet until I read them. I like to read them live. Neith comes up upside down, which when Neith does come upside down, it's just reminding you that this cycle has come to an end. Now it's time to rethink what we're doing. The pattern of Saturn and destruction, the pattern of cataclysmic waves has come to an end, and now we have an opportunity to just sit with what is so that we can continue to create with the raw materials that we have currently. So the final message of 2025 is knowing that you're protected, knowing who you truly are, being fully immersed in this practice in every way, shape, or form, and knowing that it was all in your head anyway. It was a thought. Like, all the difficulties, all the tension is a thought that you created a whole entire space for. And now you've learned how to overcome yourself, overcome the devil, overcome Satan, overcome Lucifer, overcome the oppression and the negative energy within yourself so that you can really hit the next level. Sending you all love. Don't forget to grab the Antojai Quantum Tarot deck. It's going to be linked in the description below. Really powerful. That's what I used this year. It tells you all the alchemy that you need, as well as the different aspects of the gods. You saw that I used it with different kinds of decks, and they all came out with the same kind of information and the same kind of feel. So I hope you're having such an amazing day, and I will catch you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share.